The following is a presentation of TFNN. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Namaste, everybody, and welcome to Mindful Living. I'm Allie Ford with my co-host Tom O'Brien, and we have a mission to help you get healthy, to feel good, and to live your life to the fullest every single day. And we're not just, shooting those words out of not walking the walk. We are trying to walk the walk ourselves, wouldn't you say?
You're doing a great job. I'm trying to get there. You're doing a great job.
Oh, come on, Tom. You are an inspiration. I think you do it. You get a lot done.
Yeah.
A lot of fun stuff. You follow your passions. You
no doubt.
motivate a ton of people around you. It's good energy.
No doubt.
Yeah, I tell you, I feel like I'm living the dream right now because I'm guiding a teacher training program at White Orchid Yoga with 16 beautiful students.
It's mob.
It's 9 to 5 or 5:30 every day. All we're doing is yoga. We're either practicing yoga or chanting or meditating.
Exactly.
Or chit-chatting about how healing the yoga practice is. And let me say, it's not always easy. I mean, sometimes, stuff comes up that's challenging and freaky, and your demons, you have to face like the hard things as well. But
the energy, folks, I walked in there, yesterday or the day before? What day is today? It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Okay.
It's all running together.
I'm being mindful, folks. Yeah. So I walk in yesterday for the class at noon. The place, the energy was just beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, and the energy's always nice there. But with that many folks, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's a month intensive. It's a yoga intensive. It's 200 hours. So we're there Sunday morning through Friday evening, and every week for 4 weeks straight.
And you should see, folks. So what happens is that when I was coming in, you were finishing chanting and meditating, right?
Right.
And so then Allie was teaching the class at noon, and then we got out, all the students are studying. And see, I remember that, and it's really cool. So check this out, because it's between studying there, and then on Saturdays what ends up happening, if I come into the office up here, because the studio's not too far away from here, down at Starbucks, I always know when there's a class going on, because your students study in Starbucks.
Right.
they get a break and they get the books out. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fun meeting place. The energy you said is right. It's a good reminder of a couple things. One, fill your space wherever you are with something that lifts you up. Like, think about the images of things you have in your environment. What kind of pictures are you seeing on your computer or your television?
Right.
What types of books are you reading? What type of music are you listening to? And you want to, surround yourself with really positive energy. And you walked into that. We've just finished chanting really positive universal mantras, which are, just basically intentions that you put out into the world, like may all beings everywhere be happy and free.
Right.
And just by saying those sounds, you create the energy, and that message permeates the space.
Yes.
It pervades not only the building that you're in, but ideally, the walls into the town, the world.
Yeah.
And then you sit and meditate, and you calm your mind, you open your heart. It just is. You walked right into that love.
Yeah.
It was just, that's what I feel this whole month.
There's no doubt. Yeah, you get in 16s. That's a lot. That's a lot of students.
It's a great group. It really is. Yeah, especially for a month intensive, because as you say, you have to study. It's a lot of work.
You got to study. You got to have a month off. You got to be serious about it. There's a lot of different dynamics inside of that.
That's right. You're seeing that with the growth of yoga these days. People want to know more because it's such a healing practice. What is it about the yoga practice that's healing?
Now, see, folks, it just started though, right? Didn't it just start this week?
It started Monday.
Yeah. So when I go next week, they're saying, "Oh, you should see what Allie's doing to us. Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm hurting. Oh."
This week, everybody's excited.
Beat me up.
Yeah, next week.
In a good way, folks.
Eyes are going to be rolling back in their head.
That's going to happen. And then by the last week, because I've seen this before, then by the last week, everyone is like, wow, I really can do this.
Yeah, got through it.
Yeah.
It's cool. So talking about the love and sharing the love, Our first day when we launched our first class together, I just read this awesome article, and it's the healing power of hugs.
Okay.
It is so great. So at the end of the practice,
did you have a hug-a-thon?
We had a hug-a-thon. Hug it out, baby. Hug it out. Might seem a little, frou-frou or flowery, but this is scientific evidence.
No, it's good. No.
If you think about it, right, when you're in love with somebody or you want to show affection or emotion,
totally.
how do you do it?
Yeah.
You use your hands.
Hugs and kisses are where it's at. I'm all over that.
And it's cool. So this article, first of all, in yoga, the heart center, the heart chakra, the energy or meridians from the heart center run down the arms into the hands. So when you want to share your love from your heart, you want to wrap your arms around somebody.
Right.
And, there's been a study. I remember reading a study years ago. I think there was this baby monkey. They gave it everything it needed to survive: water, food, shelter.
Yes.
But they separated it from its mommy.
Right.
And it didn't make it because it didn't have the loving touch of and the nurturing and the cuddling of the mom. So this study says if you need 10 reasons to hug, think about this. The first one is it increases oxytocin in the body, which is a powerful hormone that not only fortifies bonds with your loved ones, but also has the capability to stimulate your solidarity between strangers. So it helps you feel more comfortable and solid when you're in, you're less uneasy.
Yeah, and we're one anyway. Yes, I agree. Right.
And then the second thing, now first of all, let's clarify. You should, probably hug somebody you're in a close or intimate situation with. Although there is this hugging saint in India. Her name's Amma.
Yeah.
And she has dedicated her life to sharing love. That's her calling in life.
Yeah, right.
People literally, thousands of people line up to hug this woman. And of course there's that, her energy lifts you up to a higher state of consciousness, but that's what she does.
Right.
So she hugs you. Second thing, hugging builds stronger bonds with the people you see every day. And, some people say, I'm not a huggy-feely, touchy person. But it goes on. It lowers your stress. Yeah, it lowers your stress, lowers your blood pressure, makes you feel good, and on and on and on. Can turn a bad mood into a good mood. But get this. The social worker found that the number of hugs we need each day is quite specific. So just to survive, you need 4 hugs.
Really?
Just to survive. Right, we talked about the loving energy that baby monkey needed its mommy.
Cool.
The nurturing is actually a really important part of surviving.
Oh, it makes sense.
Secondly, she said you need 12 hugs for maintenance. Right, so just to stay in a good mood, to fight the bad moods, the ups and downs, the depression, the anxiety, the loneliness. Think about how hard it is to face loneliness.
Totally.
So 12 hugs for maintenance. 16 to thrive and to grow. So, hug it out, people.
That's good.
16 a day. Does that sound like a lot to you?
That is a lot.
You think so?
Well, listen, I'll go for 100. Okay, but the reality is 16. So that's a 1 an hour.
Yeah.
You're probably up 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is that, of course, when you're with people, you can hug them 5, 6, 7 times in 5 minutes.
Right. Or you might have a long embrace that kind of counts for 5 hugs. But here's a challenge. Tomorrow, the next day, maybe the rest of the day this week.
Count them?
Count them.
Okay.
Pay attention to how many hugs you hug, how many times you hug somebody. And
that's good.
I want to hear about it. You should tweet us at TFNN.
Yeah.
Tweet at TFNN. Or you can shoot me a Facebook message, Ali Ford Yoga. I want to hear about it. I want to know how many times people are hugging out there, and I want to know how it's making you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I like it.
Thanks. So in the effort to share the love and the healing energy, our show today is about a beautiful woman who's got a very powerful message to share. Her name is Judy Friedman, and she is the author of a book called Easing the Teasing. Now, Judy has been a licensed clinical social worker and worked in elementary schools for 20 years, and says that she repeatedly witnessed that teasing is a universal and widespread stressor for most children. And of course, we all know that it can have damaging and lasting effects. She created a program called Easing the Teasing, which you can find more information about on her website, easingtheteasing.com. It's a groundbreaking program to proactively address the issue of teasing, which empowers children with essential lifelong coping skills, which of course they need to manage and overcome painful incidents. It's been featured in the Chicago Tribune. Judy has appeared on NBC and other major media, and her book has recently been translated to Portuguese in Brazil and Chinese in China. So I want to welcome Judy to the show. Judy, are you with us?
I am. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Judy.
Yeah, thanks for being
Great to
here.
have you.
Great to have you, Judy. You know, in our email exchanges, I kind of let you know my son's reaching that age. He's soon to be 8, and he's kind of facing some teasing from some older children. And at first I thought, oh, it's teasing, you know, it's teasing. But there's been several days he's come home in a really bad mood, unwilling to communicate or talk, until I, you know, kind of coaxed it out of him. And at times he cried, and I thought, oh man, here we go. So I would love to know more about your inspiration for creating this program. What was it exactly?
Well, as a social worker in an elementary school in the mid-'80s, I had the wonderful opportunity to have a principal that said, you don't just have to see the people who sign up for counseling or, you know, mental health interventions individually or in small groups. I'd love for you to go into the classrooms and just talk to all the students about what they want to talk about. And this was just a wonderful opportunity. I talked about with kids their issues were, whether it had to do with friendships or feelings. But I have to tell you that the number one issue over many years was teasing. That they talked about being teased on the playground, on the school bus, in the neighborhood. And it was clear to me that they were feeling helpless. They either teased back, which escalated the situation, or they turned the feelings into themselves, which made them feel so badly.
Right.
So in my classroom discussions, I saw that by brainstorming and, you know, what can you do, what can you say, it was a really powerful message for them, that it reduced the feelings of helplessness. And, you know, school personnel, we get our energies in the summer. We, you know, reflect what the past year was like, what we want to do. And I said, you know, I really need to do more with the teasing. Instead of being reactive to their complaints, I decided to be proactive. And that's when the summer, I think, 1998, seems so long ago, that I created Easing the Teasing, teaching kids the 10 strategies to help deal with teasing on a proactive basis, like you would teach stranger danger, rather than be reactive.
Sure, and to help prepare them for this very likely reality.
Well, it is, because teasing is so widespread and so universal, and if they don't deal with it effectively or appropriately, it can escalate into bullying. And then bullying, you know, it starts in preschool. Teasing starts in preschool, and if it escalates, it will escalate. The peak is in middle school, and on into adulthood and families and the workplace. And I even read some articles a few weeks ago that it's even evident in senior citizen facilities.
Oh my goodness. You know, you make the clear distinction, or if you could help people understand, when does teasing become bullying? What's the difference?
Well, I welcome that opportunity, because I believe that many people use the term simultaneously. I mean, just, you know, it's the same, and they're not. When I work with kids and I'll say, how many of you have ever been teased in a classroom? Almost every hand goes up. You know, well, what's teasing? It's when somebody makes fun of you, hurts your feelings, calls you a name. And I'll say, well, how many of you have ever been bullied? And I don't see that many hands. So clearly, to kids, there's a difference. And what is the difference? Well, first of all, some people may not realize that some teasing can be fun and friendly. It's having fun with somebody. You might have fun with your son. You know, it's just kind of joking. It's affectionate. Everybody is smiling. No one's feelings are hurt.
Right, like when I tease Tom for saying "ka" in Boston, and then he teases me back for saying "ha," I'm from Texas. That time, and we laugh about it.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of fun and friendly teasing, and that's really part of our communication. But kids, when they think of teasing, it's the cruel and hurtful. When you're making fun of somebody, when you're laughing at somebody, not with somebody, it's generally mean-spirited. It can be embarrassing somebody, a put-down. And what complicates this is that sometimes a comment is meant to be fun and friendly, but then it's received or taken as cruel and hurtful. So we have to really understand the intent.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I mean, what if you do say something to somebody in a very sort of friendly way, but that person happens to be more sensitive? You know, you have to kind of figure out how to help that person feel better. Stay with us, Judy. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get more into the details of how to ease the teasing. We'll be right back.
In quiet markets, investors search for new trading opportunities. We'd like to introduce you to a new product that provides opportunities even in flat markets. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a new and innovative Chicago-based exchange registered with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their trading platform. Nadex never charges a fee to use their platform, which even includes real-time charts and full customization capability. Nadex's unique short-term binary options allow traders and investors to capitalize on strategies even when the underlying markets are quiet. Nadex's innovation has allowed them to come up with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com, or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy. A set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here. What are you doing right now? Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Welcome back to Mindful Living. We're here with Judy Friedman of Easing the Teasing, a problem that can cause children to feel low self-esteem, chronic stress, anxiety, and even dislike school or feel aggressive. And Judy, you were talking about, how teasing turns to bullying when it's mean-spirited and it just doesn't stop. And then we talked about the, innocent teasing. And what do you do when you have that intention to not hurt someone's feelings?
Talk about how the teasing is on a continuum. So we have the fun and friendly, and you have the cruel and hurtful, but the cruel and hurtful teasing may not be bullying, but it can escalate into that.
Yeah.
What characterizes bullying is that it's persistent, it's repeated, it's threatening, can be intimidating, it's chronic. There's an intent to harm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of degree. And this is what it's so important to differentiate, that not to negate the the harm that the teasing can do, but the teasing and bullying are on a continuum.
So, like, let's picture that, kids are coming home from school, someone's getting teased, and this is like the first time that, let's say there's a group of 3 or 4 kids teasing, 1 or 2 children on the other side. What is the response?
Well, I think, first of all, if kids come home and tell parents about this, it's a wonderful thing. A lot of kids are reluctant to share what's happened at school with parents. They're afraid, I'm going to disappoint mom or dad. I'm embarrassed. I'm going to let them down. So if your child comes home to you and talks about what's happened, really thank them for sharing it and reinforce that. And it must have taken a lot of courage, and you really want to help them. So parents need to really find out as much as they can, what happened, when it happened. And when your child is talking to you, get him to express his feelings and try to understand those feelings. And, as a parent, you want to just go fix it right away, right?
Yes.
And we can't always do that. But to convey some empathy, like, I really understand how you must have felt. It must have felt so bad. And conveying that empathy is kind of like putting on a Band-Aid on a skinned knee. It just kind of, kiss and make it better. You're not going to resolve it, but it helps kids feel better.
So then, so if I'm hearing you correctly, when a child starts to tell you that they experienced something that was potentially painful, go into the feelings. How did that make you feel? And get them to continue communicating with you. And as you say, of course, acknowledge them for doing that. Thank you for sharing that information. I think it's a tendency for parents to go, that's awful, and immediately judge the experience, which may shut a child down. Do you see that happening?
Exactly. You really need to try to see the situation from your child's point of view, but we really need to focus on solutions and not blaming the other person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what should the child do, though? The child that's getting teased?
Well, I think it's the parent's responsibility to empower the child with some of the strategies, or all the strategies that I've written about. I believe that kids can be empowered and learn these strategies to help them cope with the teasing. But with that, I think parents need to call the school, if it's obviously it might be happening at school, probably happening at school, and share it with the teacher. Has the teacher seen anything? And there's always at least 2 or 3 sides to a story.
Right.
And I think kids need to hear from parents. I take this seriously, and we're going to really try to resolve this.
Yeah, and that's good advice, I think, to call maybe the caregiver at the facility, whether it's camp or school, because I think, I'll tell you my own experience, I was very much inclined to call the other child's parents, but I paused for a minute. I thought, oh, man, that might really send them on the defensive.
Right.
And hurt their feelings.
Well, I think it's a great idea to call whether it's the school or the daycare facility or the camp, because it happens everywhere, and especially with a daycare facility, those conditions are ripe for this kind of behavior. First of all, the kids are multi-ages, and generally, aftercare is after school, and kids are tired, and there's a lot less structure in those situations than in school. So I have found that it's likely to happen in daycare or even in camp when it's less structured. But we need to alert the supervisors, the teachers, the administrators to what your child is telling you.
Yeah, that's exactly where ours is happening. You hit the nail on the head.
Now, you were teaching in suburban Chicago, right?
Correct.
So was the demographic, what was the demographic?
It's a blend of cultures as far as maybe middle class, upper middle class in the school districts I was in.
So inside of that teasing, was there fighting?
You mean like physical bullying?
Yes.
Most of bullying is verbal. We did not have a lot of physical aggression, although it can happen. But the majority of what I dealt with was verbal. And experts and research says that 70% of bullying is actually verbal.
Now, has that changed over the years?
I think what's changed is that it's now electronic.
Yeah.
And
okay. Yeah, there's no doubt. That's really dangerous. Yeah,
we could have a whole nother radio show just about that.
That's
true.
a fact. Yeah, no, I can see that. Right.
And what age did you see this beginning? I mean, how early is it starting?
I see that it starts in preschool.
Pre-K 3, Pre-K 4.
Yeah. In nursery school, I mean, even teasing kids about their names, Hannah Banana, or you can't sit here, or kids are learning how to relate to others, and they really haven't figured out what's right and what's wrong, which brings me to another point that I see after 12 years after my book's been published and reflecting back on bullying, that so many kids don't see that this behavior is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to really be careful and really think about our words, that when you see kids acting like this, not to say, well, this isn't nice or this isn't appropriate. This is wrong.
Right.
Because they're exposed to so much of this on TV and in the media, and they think that it must be okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's really the parents' responsibility, right? I mean, we as parents need to take that ownership.
Absolutely. I think a lot of parents really tolerate and accept this kind of behavior at home within their family, when they really should be more strict about this. That, talk about what is teasing, what does it sound like, and give examples. What does it look like, and give examples.
Yeah.
This is not allowed. This is not accepted.
I guess some of that, I mean, the reality is that plenty of the parents are sitting around the supper table saying, oh, what about this one, or what about that one? And that's where they're getting it from.
Right.
Sometimes, yeah, they see that definitely as an example.
Oh, listen, you can be in any social setting. It's insane, the amount of free speech that goes out there that people think they can actually just talk about someone else in that derogatory manner, like it's like nothing.
For no concern, right? And not even considering the energy behind it or how the words or intention behind it could be extremely hurtful.
Well, I think we also, I'm sure kids learn and model what they live with on a day-to-day basis.
Sure, right.
And, do parents put their kids down, and do moms and dads talk negatively or comment negatively about others?
Right. And, isn't it, I know in my experience with two little ones, my children are almost 6 and 8, I did see it's a learning curve. You hear people say all the time, boy, kids are so ruthless. They'll just say whatever's on their mind. But I think it's important not to just chalk it up as, hey, that's just how they are. We have to help mold them and teach them what's right and what's wrong. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree. You teach kids about being safe and about being healthy, and this goes along. This is on the list.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of being respectful. And I think that, as you say, a lot of parents just, well, this is just the way the kids are. But what's happening now on the other side of that is that the term bullying is being misused and overused. Mm-hmm. That, bullying is not conflict when kids just kind of fight with each other. What makes bullying is that there's usually a power imbalance. And the bully is either stronger socially, verbally, or physically, or there may, as in, some situations, a group of kids are bullying one child. But bullying is not conflict that is generally between two people of equal status.
Okay. And you made another point that you made is that it's ongoing or escalates.
Exactly.
So what if your child doesn't open up and communicate to you? What are some other signs that we as parents should look for that maybe they're having a hard time?
Well, as you mentioned, you noticed a change in your son's demeanor. Mm-hmm. What was that you noticed?
Yeah, he would, there were days I'd pick him up, he was angry, frustrated. In fact, there was one day, and I thought, boy, did you have a rough day? What happened? What's wrong? There was one day, even one of the camp counselors, or it's an aftercare facility actually, said to me, he's acting really strangely. He's not himself. He seems really down. And I tell you, we got in the car, he asked for something, I think it was candy or something, we had dinner, and I said no. And he started bawling, just a simple no over something. And I thought, man, he's really irritable. what
You
happened...
knew something else was going on.
Definitely. And it took a while. We made it through dinner, and toward the end of dinner at the table and talking about our day, you know, he opened up and said, so-and-so is saying these things to me, and, it makes me cry sometimes. And they sit there and laugh. And, boy, like you said, though, as a parent, my fangs came out. I wanted to... I had to be aware of my own reaction. And you say it on your website, kids cannot control the action of the teaser, but they can control their reactions to the tease. And I want to talk more about that when we come back from this break. So stay with us. We'll be back with more Mindful Living.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective. Direction Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor, Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Who says you can't take it with you? TFNN says you can. With your mobile device and TFNN's live radio streams, TFNN has put it all in the palm of your hands. No special apps to download. No subscription fees for live radio or Tiger TV streams. We say you can.
Now let's go over to the dollar, because the dollar is going to be the generator. It is the generator of basically higher dollar, lower market. And what the dollar has done, and this whole uptrend, folks, has just gone sideways. The way it works, folks, is this.
We say you can. The Tiger Financial News Network. Smart investors and professional traders know you can. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Life is a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Welcome back to Mindful Living. We're here with Judy Friedman, who's helping us understand how to deal with teasing and perhaps even prevent the escalation toward bullying. So, Judy, I love that quote on your website. You know, you can't control the actions of the teaser, but you can control your reactions to the tease. And parents want tools. So I'd love to get into the strategies with you. We don't have that much time left with you. If you would share a few of your top tips to help us empower our children, because, you know, Tom and I were talking about this at the break. So I've got two, and they're both born with their own little spirits. You know, I mean, while my son is experiencing some teasing and it's upsetting him, in general, I would say he's instinctively or inherently resilient. He's a tougher personality than my daughter. My daughter, you say one even friendly tease in a very innocent manner, she breaks down crying and runs out of the room. So we're talking about two different types of personalities. But so how can we as parents empower our children?
Well, I'd like to share with you a few of the strategies that I teach the children, because, as I said, they can't control the words or actions of the teaser, but they can learn to control their own reactions, and this is what eases the tease.
Okay.
The first strategy is self-talk. Now, we teach kids know self-talk. They talk to themselves when they're crossing the street, or when you tell them to go get ready for school. They're hearing these words in their mind. What can they say to themselves if somebody teases them or hurts their feelings? Merely thinking about there's something they can do reduces the helplessness. So you introduce the whole concept of self-talk, and you have to remind themselves, I'm not going to get mad, I'm not going to get angry, because this is going to make it worse. And even kindergartners and first graders understand this cause and effect.
Yeah. Well,
One question of self-talk is the tease true? You know, sometimes kids just, they say something, and the person who was teased just takes it as this is the ultimate truth. You know, it was the way it was said, it was the tone of voice.
yeah.
Sure, right.
I mean, not just children, adults.
Exactly.
We can all be so permeable to those words where they just penetrate us.
Right, and sometimes it is true, and I'll get to that in a few minutes, but if your child comes home to you and, said, Billy called me a loser, and then a parent could say, well, do you believe it? Sometimes a reality check really works. Well, if you don't believe it, why are you getting so upset?
Mm-hmm.
And so just that reality check can help kids feel better. Well, I'm not a loser, so why am I getting so upset?
Mm-hmm.
And just because somebody says that about me, that doesn't make it true. And that's the message we parents have to instill in our kids. And another part of self-talk is whose opinion is more important, the teasers or mine. I mean, just because somebody makes fun of your lunch at school, does that mean that you shouldn't bring your lunch anymore? Does that mean that your favorite lunch is wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to have a discussion about that. And then just think about positive qualities. When a boy is teased about striking out at the end of the inning and he loses a game and he's called a loser, he feels terrible when he goes home, but remind him of some other past prior situations when he felt good about what he did, when he perhaps was the star of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So kids actually tease about what they're eating at lunch. That's pretty intense. No, I can picture it. Like, what did your parents give you for lunch? Right? Is that what we're saying?
Well, I was talking to a second grade class, and I was reading a book, and it had a picture of a girl eating peanut butter and banana, and obviously her brother was teasing her.
Okay.
Oh, how can you eat that?
I see.
And a little boy in the class said, well, somebody teased me about my sandwich in first grade. That's a long time between first and second grade.
Yeah, that is.
And he remembers
And he talked about how kids made fun of his egg salad sandwich. Mm-hmm. We talked about this as a class.
I could see that. No.
How did he feel? What could they do? And in brainstorming, this was before Easing the Teasing was more formally created, but seeing how powerful this class discussion was with the role playing, he brought egg salad the very next day.
Wow.
Well, what's interesting about that though is that as a parent, right? Egg salad stinks. I mean, and I can eat it, but no, seriously, as a parent, you send a little kid off to school. I don't know if it's too bright to send a second grade kid off to school with egg salad.
But he likes it. He likes the egg salad. Why shouldn't he should be allowed to eat it?
I understand that. I understand that.
It's funny. We talk about that in yoga because sometimes in the yoga class, somebody will be doing something on their yoga mat that's bothering somebody else, their neighbor next to them.
Yes.
And it's one of the principles of yoga practice is to keep your awareness on yourself and not let external factors bother you. So I can see the value of teaching that to children. I mean, if the person who's teasing him is teasing him because the egg salad sandwich stinks, well, it's not the kid's fault who's eating the sandwich. It's the kid whose nose is sensitive. That's his problem,
But, it's not just with egg salad. It could be something different that a child brings to school and somebody else doesn't understand the difference, or it's not part of his life and they make fun of it.
Totally.
And so when I asked this class, how many of you would not bring your favorite lunch, whatever it is, if somebody made fun of it, and a few kids raised their hand, and I asked the others, well, how many of you would continue even if somebody made fun of it? And all the rest of the hands went up, and one little girl said, because my opinion is more important than the teasers.
Oh, that's great. And
at the same time, I asked the kids, what would you do if you see or hear somebody making fun of somebody else's lunch? And we role-played what you would do as a bystander.
That's great. What would you do as a bystander?
That's a big one, yeah.
Well, we need to encourage bystanders to stand up and speak out if they feel safe to do so, to support the person who is being teased or targeted, to, say, well, I really like your glasses, or, let's go over here and play, or include that person in a group or an activity. Even offer to join the person who's being teased, perhaps go tell an adult, just to offer some kind of support, and not be the cheering section, which some kids are, in cheering what the teaser or bully might be doing.
Yeah, it is interesting to bring their awareness. Somehow, I think, I don't know if it's a nervous reaction when there's a group of people or one person making fun of someone and they start to laugh and then other people start to snicker along. It almost seems like nervous tension in the room, almost like an unconscious sort of choice. So to teach children that if you see someone whose feelings are hurt, or, counteract it with something positive. That's a great message.
Right. And just to go back to a couple more strategies, I know your time is probably limited. We talked about, sometimes the tease is true. How can a child respond?
Now, this is a good one. I was just reading, Judy, online. I was looking at celebrities who were bullied. And, Michael Phelps, who is a multi-gold medal Olympic winner, he says he was teased all the time for his lisp and his big ears. So, and he acknowledges those things are true about him. So how do you deal with this?
Well, it's one of the strategies that, if somebody teases you because you're short and you feel like, oh, my gosh, something's so wrong with me being short, I need to go home and grow a few inches or get taller shoes, like I need to change this. But for parents to help kids learn it's okay, there's nothing wrong with this. And to say, I am short. I have big ears. I have a big nose. And for many kids, it's a revelation that they can actually agree with this and that it's okay.
Yeah, everything that we're talking about is bringing in some comments in our chat room. We had one listener say kids are cruel, and we did cover that. It's sometimes a lessons that we have to teach them, but as we acknowledge that, another listener says teasing goes well beyond childhood into adulthood, and that some irresponsible adults, sometimes even parents, consider it cool or funny for their kids to tease others. Maybe they see it as their kids are the tough guys,
Right.
So I thank our listeners so very much for listening and for providing your comments for Judy. But I'm sorry, Judy, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, when you talk about somebody with big ears, after I teach kids the strategies in the classroom as a group, we teach a strategy saying, well, teasing is not allowed, it's wrong, but it's going to happen. So after I teach the strategies, and I have kids practice. So anybody who wants to practice, they line up like they're lining up for this biggest treat of all. And one little boy asked me to tease him about his ears. So I said, Johnny, your ears are so big, and, you look like you could fly. You're like an elephant. And he looked at me with the biggest smile and said, I can hear the ice cream truck several blocks away.
Oh, that is so funny.
Great. Yeah, so we found a way to love that quality about himself.
And that was one of the strategies we taught, to kind of take it and, make humor out of it. And he would never be teased about his ears, and if he was ever teased about it, he would know how to handle it.
Totally, and I love that you role play with children. Certainly that's a tool parents could use with their own children. Role play.
Absolutely. That's just so powerful, and sometimes even role play in front of a mirror helps.
Wow.
No, you can you can see that role play.
Yeah.
People can cherish it. Period. Because I think one of the biggest things is you're talking about it, number one, but then as you're role playing it, realizing that this is real.
Yeah.
So what?
And you're prepared for that
Yeah.
when that event rises in your life. It's not brand spanking new and sweeps you off your feet and completely catches you by surprise. You're a little bit more prepared for maybe those situations.
Exactly, but I just want to emphasize that these strategies, easing the teasing strategies, is for the teasing that I defined earlier. If it's bullying, the only strategy that will work is the last strategy, and that's asking for help.
Okay.
That if there are kids who are bullies, not just teasing or name calling, but if it's consistent and chronic, I've never seen a bully stop without adult intervention or peer intervention, when they're the bystanders kind of, take over.
This, to me, is a scary topic because you hear stories these days of bullies who threaten other children or adults or anyone, for telling anyone what's going on. And that's concerning. I mean, how do you help a child feel okay with being willing to speak up if this is happening?
Well, just to instill the message that it is the right thing to do, and it's a really a shift in the culture of it's okay to tell that it's not snitching. It's doing the right thing. We have to put a stop to it. And there are many parents that'll say, "Well, I want to go to the school, but my son or daughter just they don't want me to, and it's going to get worse." But if we don't report it, it's not going to stop.
In that context, this is great you're bringing this up, because in that context, more than likely, well, this is what my question would be. Would it be better, your child comes home like that, they're getting bullied, two choices. One, you tell the child that you're going up to the school, or the second choice, you talk to the child about it, and next morning you're up there dealing with it. So my question to you is, do you just go right up there? You can deal with the child and don't even tell them you're going up there. Just go.
Yeah, I mean, how long do you let it last before you do something?
Basically, because the children are always worried about that, right? And then they're not going to sleep at night. It's like, okay,
right.
my parents are going to go. I can tell you, I evidently scarred my children when I was young. When they were young, and this is a crazy story. This has to do with being in restaurants. I used to be in the restaurant business, and Tommy and Caitlin to this day they say, "Oh no." It's like something goes on and says, "You gonna get the manager?" I swear, and I look at them like, "Oh man, I scarred you poor kids, evidently." Do you know what I mean? Now my children now are 34 and 31, and this still happens.
It's a good question though, because I myself faced it. Before I reached out to talk even to the caregivers of the aftercare facility, I questioned in my head over and over. I mean, I lost sleep over it. What should I say? Should I soften it? Should I tell them exactly what my child told me? Because, as you said, Judy, there are two sides to every story. How do you approach it? Say, when you do decide as a parent, or, well, we said, children should talk to their parents, but as an adult, when you choose to address it, do you soften the blow? Do you soften the message? I have a little concern, or should you say, look, I'm really concerned?
Well, I think you are really concerned. I make the analogy, if your child is physically sick, at what point do you just say, I'm going to call the doctor? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you take care of things yourself, and other times you call the doctor. Sometimes you go into the doctor. Sometimes you go to the urgent care.
Yeah.
So you kind of listen to your own intuitions. But I strongly encourage parents to document what your child has said, take notes to a phone meeting or an in-person meeting so that you cover everything. And to go in I want to solve, we have a problem, in a problem-solving mode rather than blaming.
Okay.
Maybe you could help me, figure this out, what we can do. My child is not feeling good. He doesn't feel like he wants to go to school. And a lot of kids, when they're teased, they don't want to go to school. They either have an illness that's developed or an invented illness.
Right.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to go to work if someone's in there bullying us at work, right?
True.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
I love, how you said that at some point you have to really read your child, and open communication is such a key part of that, to stay involved in their life and communicate on a daily basis about what's happening.
And you can use a teachable moment. When you're reading a story to your children, there are a lot of stories out there about teasing and bullying. A lot of times you'll see incidents on TV to talk about it. What happened?
Yes.
How did he feel? What else could he have said? Mm-hmm. What would you do in that situation? As parents, one of the most important things we can do is to teach empathy.
Definitely.
How do you feel if you were in that person's situation? And it's a constant lesson to go over and to repeat.
Yeah, it's such a good question. I mean, do you feel empathy is inherent, or is it something that you have to learn?
I think that a lot of it can be modeled if that's the pattern in your family. But kids need to be trained. They need to learn about it. Many times kids just don't know. If they see somebody with a difference in the grocery store with you, and, if they don't understand the difference, they'll either point their finger and laugh,
right,
or maybe feel anxious and a little scared. Mm-hmm. For you to educate them and, what this difference is and how do you think that person feels.
And, and what's the appropriate response? Hey, that person might really need a hug right now, or
right.
Tell them you're sorry, or, to relate to them. So are these strategies that you've listed a few, I assume you have more. Are these strategies explained in your book, Easing the Teasing?
Chapter 6 is all talks about all the strategies, gives wonderful examples, and I think parents would find it very helpful advice.
Thank you. And in terms of keynote speeches, are you do you have a travel schedule coming up?
Yes, the summer is a little lighter because school year's over, but when school begins, I do presentations for school personnel and parents, and just a few weeks ago I was in Clearwater doing a community event sponsored by Baycare Health and the City of Clearwater.
Nice.
And it was just a wonderful event that included parents as well as mental health professionals, school personnel, pediatricians, other medical personnel, and I thought it went great.
And you said you do make presentations to children? How often is that? Do you mostly present to adults?
I mostly present to adults because I feel that we really need to empower the adults to give this message to kids. I do work with kids, but it needs to be a more consistent message from parents and school personnel. There's actually a organization here in the Chicago area called Imagination Theater that does theater based on my work called Ease the Tease, and they go into the schools, generally around here, but often travel to present to kids the strategies on stage and then involve the kids in responding and role-playing.
It's a great idea because kids really do, as you say, they model behavior so much. Well, it's such wonderful, helpful information, and we just thank you so much for taking this time to be with us, Judy. And
I appreciate the opportunity.
Always best wishes and best of luck to continue your great work. And you can find out more information about Judy Friedman and her work at easingtheteasing.com. Thanks for being with us, Judy.
My pleasure.
Have a
Thank
great
you so
one.
much.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
So it's our responsibility as parents to start teaching kids at the beginning when they're young what's okay and what's not okay.
And there's no doubt.
It just brings us back to the beginning of our show. Just spread the love, man. Spread the love.
That's where it's at.
Yeah, and teach children, like we talk about, how to be mindful. What type of energy are you putting out there with your words, with your actions,
Right.
with your thoughts? I mean, you can teach self-awareness at a very young age, and as Judy just pointed out, empathy as well at a very young age.
And I think what happens with empathy is that as children are growing up, when they see someone get really hurt, then they realize that, oh, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where I think, kids can really realize that, oh, no, this is not right. I don't want that person feeling like that. And no matter who that person is. I mean, you think about it. I can't stand looking around when you see that hurt. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Period. You know what I mean? And then in the teasing situation, it's really a bummer because you know that someone's trying to hurt someone for what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, why?
And to help the child sort of, I think, self-reflect, turn it on themselves for a second and say, how would that make me feel?
Oh, totally.
What if I were in that person's
That
shoes?
role playing that she was talking about is huge, I think. Because that's something that can be done very easily, and like anything else, if the verbiage has already come out, it's much easier when it's coming out from someone else.
Definitely. I'll be using that as a parent. It's funny, I definitely try to have mindful communication with my children, stay involved in their life, like so many of our experts who've come on the show to talk to us. We talked about teens and their struggles the last couple shows,
Right.
and that is such a biggest tip is to stay involved in your children's lives.
No doubt.
So thank you, listeners, for joining us today. We'll be back next week with more mindful living. Until then, we wish you health, happiness, and beauty from the inside out. Thanks for being with us. Namaste.
Namaste, folks. Have a great one.
This is TFNN.